Hello class. The last video in this module discusses the concept of emotional intelligence. So this is going to be a relatively short video lecture, but it's one of those constructs that's really being talked about today. It really seems to carry some importance. It's been defined in a number of different ways, from Mayer and Salovoy to Daniel Goleman. We're going to kind of look at that, the former there when we're defining this, and talk about what exactly do we mean when we say emotional intelligence and why is it important in the world of business. So emotional intelligence really is just the ability to monitor your and others' feelings and use this information to guide your thinking and action. So that it's saying a lot in there. The first one is the ability to monitor your feelings and emotions. So, how self-aware are you of your own feelings, your own emotions? Why are you feeling? Why are you feeling the way you do? What caused you to feel that way? Is it appropriate what you're experiencing at that moment, or maybe is it an over and exaggeration? And then have the ability to regulate your emotions and feelings to be more appropriate to the circumstance. Okay, so that's the first part of that. The second one says, and others, right? So not only the ability of you to recognize your own feelings and emotions in a certain situation and determine whether they're appropriate, but also to kind of recognize and monitor the feelings and emotions of other people within the context of the situation, and then adjust your behavior appropriately to kind of correspond with their feelings or emotions. So there's a lot going on there. So you have to use the information that you're getting from your own self-assessment on feelings and emotion, recognize the feelings and emotions in others, and then adjust your behaviors accordingly. This was first introduced in 1909. So it's the construct, the thought of emotional intelligence has been around a while. Some claim it to be a secret elixir to happiness and higher performance. Some people, like Goleman, say it guides motivation. Others just say, hey, look, it's just the ability to recognize emotions. And some people have trouble doing that. I've seen bosses in my past experiences just berate an individual, even as that individual emotionally starts to break down and kind of gets the point of what the supervisor is saying, but they keep going on and on, almost as if they just cannot recognize that the emotions in others, that this other person is kind of beaten down and starting to break down, and they just keep going on and on. Somebody with maybe low emotional intelligence. Studies have been done on emotional intelligence, and it's been shown to be moderately associated with these 5 things here. So what does that mean, moderately associated? A strong association is if, as one thing goes up, the other goes up in an equal amount. That's a very strong association. So as I move up maybe one level or 1 percentage point of emotional intelligence, something else moves up that same amount. That's almost a perfectly positive correlation. Something moderately correlated means that if my emotional intelligence goes up, something else goes up, but maybe not certainly to the degree that the emotional intelligence went up. So some of those things that are moderately associated with emotional intelligence: better social relations, well-being, and satisfaction. You can certainly see how social interactions and social relationships would improve with somebody with high levels of emotional intelligence. Higher creativity is moderately associated. Better emotional control, obviously, would be associated with emotional intelligence. Conscientiousness and self-efficacy. We talked about conscientiousness with the Big 5. We talked about self-efficacy with the core self-evaluation. And self-rated performance. Not supervisor rating you, but if I rate myself on my performance, I tend to rate myself higher if I have higher emotional intelligence. So what are the traits that are associated with emotional intelligence? Number 1 is self-awareness. This is the ability to read your own emotions and gauge your moods accurately, so you know how you're affecting others. Some people may exhibit anxiety or stress or forms of depression, but just not be able to recognize it in themselves, and they're having an impact on those people around them, whether they're in a relationship or whether it's employees. And if you can't recognize that, it tends to certainly have an impact on what's going on around you. Self-management is the ability to control your emotions and act with honesty and integrity in reliable and adaptive ways. You could leave occasional bad moods outside the office, so you're not taking maybe stress from home into the office or stress from the office to home. So you could really kind of certainly assess what you're doing and then act in acceptable and reliable ways. Social awareness, this includes empathy, showing others that you care, and organizational institutions, so you clearly understand how your emotions and actions affect others. Empathy is your ability to put yourself into someone else's shoes, right? So it's not necessarily sympathy where you're saying, well, you know, I don't understand where it is you're coming from, but I sympathize with your situation. Empathy is really being able to put yourself in the shoes of that person and truly understand their situation based on the contextual clues and what else may be going on in that person's life. So that's, that social awareness is important. And the last one is relationship management. The ability to communicate clearly and convincingly, disarm conflicts, and build strong personal bonds. So, you certainly talk about de-escalating a situation, being able to kind of go into a situation, understand when there could potentially be conflict, and then being able to de-escalate that situation based on an understanding of yours and others' emotions in those situations. So that's the trait of emotional intelligence. Again, this was a bit of a short video lecture, but I just wanted to cover that topic because it is heavily researched today in today's business and social environment. So I just wanted to give students an idea of what exactly social intelligence means and how that applies to both personal and professional lives.